Hey everyone, I hope everybody's doing great. I wanted to use this time to talk about my latest travel journal. I just came back from Barbados. It was an amazing trip. And what I've done in the past on my trips is I make these little journals that are really easy to make. I'm seeing if I could find some others down here. I found this journal from a class I took with Tisha Moore, and she has this awesome video on YouTube, and I'm going to put a link in my notes at the bottom. But if you go onto YouTube, it's really easy. You can make this out of one sheet of paper. Fabriano Hot Press is what I use because it keeps it really smooth, and then the paint goes on really, really nice, and the writing, it's easy to write. But eventually, when you're done with it all, you twine it together and you have this little 16-page book. And so all my trips, I take this book and my favorite art supplies. And what I do before I go on a trip is I watercolor my pages first. It doesn't really matter what color you pick. It's not going to affect how you write in it. I just picked any color. Each page is a different color. And you can also use acrylic inks if you want. It's just that I like the watercolors because it keeps it on the thinner side, and then I can write over it. So this is the book, and I wanted to go through some of my pages with you because it was such a great trip, and hopefully you'll be inspired when you go on a trip. You'll make one of these too. Anyway, so the front page, I'm not 100% done with it, but the front page is Barbados 2020. And the reason I have "Let's Catch a Wave Together," this is a phrase that I think should be on t-shirts in Barbados because everybody was so friendly and so kind and nice. And my husband went surfing one morning when we just got there, and one of the locals came out and said, "Hey, let's catch a wave together." And he came and told me that, and I thought, oh my goodness, that is exactly what this trip is about. So we come from a surf community, and it's a little bit more dog-eat-dog out there, where I don't think everyone is as friendly, and maybe they should catch a lesson on that because it's a really cool thing. All right, so in the inside of the book, there's 16 pages you have, and there are flaps in each one. So on my first flap here, I'm not quite finished here with this one, but it's going to be about my favorite times of the trip. And I know what they are, I just haven't finished writing in there, but it's family time and it was me time. And so I'm not too sure if you can see it, but we were in a super tiny little car, probably the size of a Mini Cooper, and 4 surfboards on top. And spending all that time in the car was great together. And then every morning I would wake up and I would just watch the sunrise and spend 2 to 3 hours by myself drawing and writing and just checking out the waves and just sitting there meditating, and it was fantastic. So I did that every morning. So I'll write that up in here. So I sort of start my journal from the beginning, and I just keep going as I go each day. This spread was all pink, and it's funny because Barbados has a ton of pink, which I love. We played cards every night, and this is a tournament we played, and it's a game that my mom taught us called Shropshire Rummy, and it's really fun. It takes about 2 hours to play, depending on the silliness, but there's 7 rounds, and so anyway, that was just keeping score. And then this is our place that we stayed, and we stayed in this villa right here, and we were able to look right onto the beach, and it was just so pretty. It's called Silver Sands Villas, and what I'll do now is I will write, a little short paragraph about that there. We did spend New Year's Day there. We flew on New Year's Eve, and so this is my sort of Happy New Year and Barbados 2020, let's catch a wave together. Where we stayed was a kite surfing beach, and it was so much fun just to watch everybody launch their kites. It was so colorful. We had an issue with our rent-a-cars, so little tip for people who are flying into a different country. Not everybody accepts Expedia, and we did not know that till we got there, that Barbados doesn't accept Expedia reservations. So we did not have a car, and they did not actually have one available until 4 days later. But the plus side of that ended up being you drive on the other side of the road, and the kids got to see what life was like for a Bayesian as they got to jump in a bus or jump in a taxi and fly around town, and that was really fun. So this is my little, mini buses would come pick you up wherever you were walking and just take you wherever you wanted to go for $3. So that was really fun. The other thing that I loved was there were painted garbage cans everywhere, and that was really pretty. So this one said Love Barbados, and they were in bright, bright colors. And then on one of the first days, this super hot pink, probably like this size, bright, bright pink, the color of this jellyfish was on the beach. And when I got back to where we were staying, I Googled it, and it's a man-o-war jellyfish, which is like one of the worst ones you can be near. And luckily, they weren't around that much. In fact, people had told me that they hardly see them. So I put that in there. What I like to do too when I'm traveling is to create a map of where we're staying. So this is the map of Barbados. It's divided into these, I would call them towns, and they're named after some saints, and this one actually was Christ Church where we were staying. And then what I do is I mark all of the places that we sort of visit and we really like. It's a very small island. You can drive around the whole thing in probably 2 hours. You can get from here to here in 40 minutes. And we were staying down here, so we were on the south side. And so we would often go east, or we would go up north. And it was amazing. The west side, it reminds me of California, and the east side is really pretty and calm waters, and the west side is a little bit more rough and with cliffs. So that was really interesting to see. The one thing that I wish there were more of was actually flowers, but there were a ton of these orange and red flowers called Pride of Barbados, and they were really cool. Sort of just bright little orange and red bushes whenever you were driving around, but there wasn't a ton, so I was surprised about that. And then I just write each day a short little paragraph about our day, so what we did and little things like that, so it helps me look back and remember. This is the center spread, so this is where your twine is, that you can tie it all together. And this one had been painted yellow before I left, so I sort of divided it up into a couple days, and then I just put some visual illustrations in different areas. And I don't really care I'm not really concerned about how I'm drawing it. I'm just really doodling it down. We stayed, we went to, the Crane Resort. It's Crane Beach, and this is on the east side, and it has this huge cliff with this beautiful resort on the top, which we did not go to, but it's up high. And there's a cliff right here where the kids got to jump, which was really fun, and it's a beautiful beach. And if you look on my Instagram site or my Facebook site, you'll see a photo from here of the brightest blue beach. It was incredible. And then we went a little bit more north on the east side to Bathsheba, which is beautiful and has these huge big rocks, gigantic, in the water. This is called Three Boy Rock or Three Brother Rock. And there was this beautiful pink church. Everything is so brightly colored. I love it. And then next to where we were staying was this kite shop that was really pretty in lots of different colors. And when I was there too, like one thing that I like to do is write descriptive words that remind me of Barbados. It's sort of an inspiration when I come home and I want to relook at it. But, happy, smiles, chill, slow. It was really relaxing. Color, bright, relax, calm. So all of these words to me describe how I was feeling at that time, and we were there for 2 weeks, so we were all really relaxed. And then On the next day, we did a lot of snorkeling. There are turtles everywhere. We saw tons and tons of sea turtles, and which were really cool. The kids love that. We spent some time on Carlisle Bay, which is, if you ever take a cruise ship, the bay is where you would dock. And so it's a very calm water. It's where a lot of people go just to kind of wade in. The sands are so white. And then one of the evenings we went around the bend from where we're staying to the Hilton to look at the beautiful sunset. So we got a lot of sunrises where we were staying, and then you just have to kind of turn the corner and you get a lot of sunsets. So absolutely gorgeous. There were always like little clouds, enough to make a beautiful sunrise or sunset. And again, just like little things that I would draw from my card games to the daiquiris, just kind of fills in some space. Then one of the days we drove to the very top of the country, which is way up here. It's called Animal Flower Cave, and there are these huge cliffs, kind of little perspective here, that you look down on, and the Atlantic is just roaring in, and there's a restaurant up there, and there's some art up there, and that was really fun. And then we also went and visited this beach called Maycox Bay that we had read about, and it reminded us all of, if you've ever been to Kauai, there's this Hideaways beach where you have to kind of do a little bit of walking and hiking to get there. So it wasn't that crowded. Huge waves though, too big for the kids, but Mark went out there and it was a beautiful beach. And again, just whenever we were snorkeling, we saw a bunch of turtles. So that's what I did on this page. And before I left, I sort of just did these shapes. I had no idea how and what they were going to be used for. So when I decided to create this page, I just used this shape that was already made to fill in my visual. Then it's got, this one also has another flap. And where we were was at this kite surfing beach. And this guy here was incredible. His name was Simon Juster. And he would go 30, 40 feet in the air and do tricks. And he was not clipped into this kite. He would literally hold it with his hand. And it was just amazing. And he would go out every day for about 2 hours, like an hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon. And I could not stop watching him. He was incredible. And it turns out he's the 6th best kite surfer in the world. And so he was just practicing, and it was just a show for everybody else. It was crazy. There was also this really sweet couple that would walk every morning, and they had a brand new baby, and the dad would hold the baby every time, and just so soft and gentle. And so I try to do like these little tiny things that you may not capture in a photograph or not think about, but when I'll look back on this trip, I'll remember fondly of these guys. One of the nights we were, or not nights, but like 5, and the sun sets there about 6. We were snorkeling in Carlisle Bay, and we got to see Elias's, which is my oldest son, and he was coming from a trip on a semester at sea, and he was in one of these tall ships. So the kids got to see it. It was really cool. We watched the ship come in, and it's one of those tall ships, so it looks like a pirate ship. You could totally tell it was him, so that was really neat. And then on this flap, what I like to do is I like to do things that remind me of Barbados, that I love about Barbados, and then things that I wish were better, you know, kind of not a pro and con, but just something to remind me of all the things that I loved. And this one is, I've got the color blue, which I'll never forget that color. It's incredible. The locals are so happy and nice and kind and beautiful, very welcoming. It made the trip amazing to be surrounded by such generous, kind souls. The coastal landscape, the whole island is absolutely gorgeous. You can surf everywhere, so the boys are really happy. And I love the chill vibe. I had brought all this work to do. I didn't do anything. I just completely became a vegetable and relaxed and loved it. Then where we stayed was fantastic, and we were right on the beach, so it was worth it, and it was beautiful, and I loved that part. And then all the colors. The Barbados has tons of different colors. Everybody wears like bright pink and green and orange and yellow, and so it was eye candy everywhere. So some of the things that I wish were better was, I mentioned before, there weren't a lot of flowers, so that I was hoping for more like Hawaii or somewhere tropical. Then what was really interesting is that even though it rained every day for like a minute, it would be sunny and the rain would come. For some reason, there weren't any rainbows, which I wish there were, but there wasn't. I'm not too sure why. And there was garbage, and I didn't love the cuisine. But those are minor things. I just thought I would share those in my little journal. Another thing that I noticed a lot on the island were these seed pods. So I brought one back with me. So these are really big and everywhere and hard. And so I thought they were really cool. It's going to inspire me to do some sort of art, I'm sure, in a project. I thought those were really pretty. And over here, one of the nights we went out to this famous Ystein Fish Fry, and it's a really wild little place, and lots of stalls, lots of different food to be had, dancing, everybody's out and about. So that was really fun. And then on Friday, towards the end of our trip, we were able to pick up Elias. So his ship came in on the Thursday, and actually this was Saturday. His ship came in on a Thursday, and it was too windy for his ship to dock. So he was not able to get off the boat until the Saturday, which was a little bit of a bummer, but he got off and we were able to hang out for a couple days together. This is his little red bag full of laundry. And then we were able to get some coconuts off our front tree, which was fun. Then towards the end, I still have to fill out a little bit more here and a little bit more here. But on our last day, we crammed it in to show Elias everything that we had seen on the island. So that was really fun. And then I'm sure some of you already know this, but I was not able to go home with my family at the very last, literally 30 minutes before I thought I was leaving. I was told I had grabbed the wrong green card. So I did not know that, and then my green card was expired, but I had a new one at home. So long story short on that is I had to spend an extra 3 days in Barbados. And at first it was devastating, and I was very, very, very sad to say goodbye to my family. And it was unsettling for them to leave 4,000 miles away from me until they actually got home. I was extremely I was just in a different space, but there were definitely some bright spots. And I think that's the most important thing, is if you look at something that's not going your way, try and find bright spots. So that's why I sort of call this my bright spot page. So even though I had a whole bunch to figure out of how I was going to get back into the US, I had a wonderful taxi driver named Mac, who basically drove me everywhere I needed to go and waited for me and did not charge me, did not sit there and run the meter at all. He was very generous with his time, and he really saved me. So one night I had to just grab a hotel and stay there. And then on another night, my sister's friends, who are amazing, came and got me and let me stay at their place for a day and night, and drove me back to the airport, drove me to FedEx, and were awesome. So these guys are my other bright spot, and their place was absolutely gorgeous. Another bright spot is we had met this guy Tyler along the way. He happened to be a diplomat and was from Berkeley. So we had lots in common, and even though he couldn't help me get my green card sorted out, he kept calling and texting to make sure that I was fine, and offered for me to stay with him as well. And then my other bright spot is my friend Melissa, who at a minute was like, whatever I can do, what do you need? As soon as the kids got on that flight, it was Mark, who suggested I FedExed my green card because Barbados said it would be 3 days to get out with a new travel document that would cost $500. So already feeling this might be the most expensive mistake I've ever made, I realized that a FedEx green card could get me maybe even earlier out of the country or at least at the same time. So Melissa got it FedExed and I got to watch it go from Texas to Puerto Rico, to Anguilla, and into Barbados. So that was really awesome. And so I wanted to write about that. That's in there. And then this page will end up being my facts about Barbados, which I haven't filled in yet. But, you know, just interesting facts about wherever you stay. It's really cool to put in here. You know, how many people, Barbados is small. It's 280,000 people live there. You know, their history. So I want to fill that in here. And one thing that I thought was really cool too is along the way they have their signs are not traditional signs, but they are all handwritten and posted up on these trees. So that was really fun to see that. And then I haven't finished my back page. I'm not too sure if I will or not, but I will definitely fill in some of the inside pages. It's a really fun way to document your trip. I never think too much about it. I just doodle. Like some of these people are really hilarious, but I can put it in my purse. I can take it to a restaurant. I can draw on it on the plane. And what I use are some of my favorite tools that I always bring. To write, I use the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen, and sometimes I use the Micron pens. Let's see, here's a Micron, but I really do like the Pitt ones. So I have these in a whole bunch of different thicknesses, and these are what I use for most of my writing. They are waterproof, so that really helps in case you spill a little bit of something on there. For my color, when I'm working on these pages, this is watercolor. So I actually bring a set of watercolors with me, and so I went in over the blue, and I would paint a little pink and a little purple just to sort of separate the towns. But when I'm sort of out and about and I need to just grab a few things, I will bring these markers with me. And so I have a whole bunch of these awesome Copics. So you can find them in two different ways. Like this is like a brush, not a brush, sorry. This is more like, I don't know, what you call this, a fat bib end. But some of them, oopsie, it's the other side. Some of them have these brush ends. And so these are the ones that I would use to just brush in like this. And it's sort of like a watercolor effect, but they're easier to kind of travel with. And then I also love the Tombows. The Tombows are really great too. It's that same sort of brush. The Copics are probably a little bit better, a little bit more expensive, but I brought so many of these. My kids, I think, wore most of them out, but they come in such great bright colors and really fun. So I think half of my suitcase was art supplies, but it came in handy because all the kids loved to draw with me and we had such a great time doing it. So hopefully this might inspire you to make your own journal. Don't worry if it never gets finished. I have plenty that are not finished, but it's a great visual memory board for you to have forever and to carry around with. And I will link up Tisha Moore's how to journal, how to do these journals, because they're really easy. And I'll also put in there too, on some of the notes, the art supplies I used. So anyway, well, listen, everybody, have a great day. I'm back to freezing cold weather and missing the beautiful blue of Barbados, and but excited for 2020 and what's in store. All right, well, thanks for watching.